just a month before that, I was looking for a place to go trap hogs on Kenny's Creek. And on the Cotton County webpage, they had the deal where it said Bigfoot Research, or not Bigfoot Research, BFRO. And I read through it and learned pretty much, characteristics. So when I went home, I went and looked up on the internet. The Arbuckle Mountains has a lot of Bigfoots, and especially down around Sulphur, Oklahoma. Now, I made many trips down there. I didn't know what I was doing. I never saw one, or heard one. If I did hear one, I wouldn't know what I was hearing. And from October of 2007, October 1st, I think it was, or 7th, they would have them get together down in Honabi, Oklahoma, about Bigfoot. So I had been corresponding with some of the members. And when I got down there, I fell in with some of the best researchers, or whatever you want to call us, there is. Randy Harrington, he's been around, he's been on TV about 10 different times. Wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't somebody makes a movie with him starring in it. He just, Bigfoot, 24 hours a day. And also DWD. But anyway, the first night we went out, we probably had 20 people in the crowd, went down on the river. Randy, after we sat there about an hour, said, we got to do something to change this. So he picked up some boulders that weighed 4 or 5 pounds, and there were a lot of rocks and boulders in the creek there. He threw about maybe 5 to 7 of them in there and made a lot of noise. And it wasn't 5 minutes. We were surrounded by Bigfoot. We couldn't see them, but they were in the bushes. And 2 of the wives had got tired of waiting down there and went to the car. And they said they sat there, and all of a sudden the car gets pelted with rocks. That's one thing Bigfoot's all about. If you don't get the rocks thrown at you, you're not around a Bigfoot. They aim to miss. I've had them poke me several times. So yeah, that kind of excited me a little bit more. The next night, they were going to go out, and about a half a mile south of where we camped out at Honabi, we went up on the mountains there. The road is washed out now, and can't get back at where they were. And when we got up there, we wasn't there 5 minutes, and it was just about almost dark. Somebody saw a Bigfoot back there by the cars. I didn't hear him say anything about it at that time, and we sat down, and DW said, there's Bigfoot. And we looked toward where the sky is light. It was a new moon. It was pitch dark. And you could see them. They just kept circling around us. These were all smaller Bigfoot. But I saw 3 as they circled around us. But we sat down, and here's some of the things that we did to keep their interest. We had more than 4 people there. But we sat down, somebody brought a table and chairs, and kind of sat where you could look 4 different directions. It wasn't 20 minutes until we had Bigfoot close to us. You could hear them, but you couldn't see them. And about another 30 minutes, DWLee's son was with us. And he said, I think I see a face. So his dad handed him the night vision. And he looked, yeah, it is a Bigfoot. Now, I don't know why they didn't pass the night vision around for everybody else to see, to get some detail out of it. All I saw was at least 3 circling us. But here's some of the keys to it. We had a radio going, not real loud, not as loud as we talk. But what Randy was doing was setting up a background noise so they would feel free to move around and not be heard. That, and just had a very low light lantern. I don't know how the lantern helped or whatever, but I know that we had Bigfoot around us. But Randy always wanted to get a picture of one of them. He'd been trying for at least 3 years. And his trick now was to have Bigfoot around him and rush them and get a picture of them as they're leaving away. Well, Randy just happened to be sitting with his back. So we tried to describe about what tree and where the Bigfoot were. And to be honest with you, I was not real comfortable with them chasing Bigfoot. But Randy headed into the bushes, turned on his camera and light, didn't get nothing. very disappointed. But one thing that I failed at had was, while we were sitting there, all of a sudden, rocks started getting thrown. They were not big rocks. And we were sitting under a tree with a big canopy on it. So what Bigfoot was doing was pitching the rocks up in the tree so they would come down. We thought it was just acorns falling. And then DW says, well, listen, that's not the same sound you get out of an acorn. So I come up with the bright idea. This is after Randy had chased them. They come back. Or else they sidestep him. But I started throwing rocks back into the bushes. And we had a rock fight there, just teasing each other, me and Bigfoot, for probably 10 minutes. And then DW decided, well, we need to go. It's getting late.
When the lows of bipolar depression feel dark, Capilita is a chance to let in the light. Capilita lumateperone is available by prescription only and can be taken alone or with lithium or valproate. Unlike some medicines that only treat bipolar 1, Capilita is proven to deliver significant symptom relief from both bipolar 1 and 2 depression. And in clinical trials, movement disorders and weight gain were not common.
Capilita can cause serious side effects. Call your doctor about sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts right away. Antidepressants may increase these risks in young adults. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Capilita is not approved for dementia-related psychosis or for people under 18. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may be life-threatening, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. High cholesterol and weight gain may occur, as can high blood sugar, which may be fatal. Monitoring is recommended. These aren't all the serious side effects. Most common side effects include sleepiness, dizziness, nausea, and dry mouth.
Ask your doctor about Capilita. Visit capilita.com or call 888-252-4824.
I bet you've probably been to the doctor's office in the past few months. I bet you had to hand over personal info, like your insurance, your ID, maybe even your social security number. And I bet you weren't thinking about how your doctor is just one of many places that has your personal information. If any one of them isn't careful, it's a good bet they could accidentally expose your details to hackers and identity theft, putting you at risk. Fortunately, LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back, with plans covering up to $3 million for stolen funds and expenses. Don't take chances with your personal info. Help protect it even when it's out of your hands. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code LIFELOCK and use promo code iHeart, or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make
Yeah, I did not try to get him to stay there. I was there to learn things you could do. I learned something with Randy with nothing going on. And he pitched the rocks, the boulders. So, anyway, the next day they had the Bigfoot conference with guest speakers. And I knew Randy.
All right, guys, let's go into the store. Lasagna? Because of the music. Back to. Let's go. Okay, gotta mute it because of the music. So tempted. Check out fast what that lady was telling me what to do. My passenger here. Give me 1 second. Great. Came off. Hold up.
Randy said, I don't want anybody to bother me. Well, I knew exactly which picnic table they run through. So I'd already grabbed that up. Or a place to stay and hopefully help. And about 9 o'clock, Randy come over and bothered me and said, I want to try something. And what he wanted to do was, let's get as deep as we can into the woods where there's picnic tables and play dominoes. So we went to Walmart. Oh, wooden dominoes. It was ones made out of plastic, but anyway, that made a lot of noise. So we sat down there and played dominoes for probably 30 to 45 minutes. And Randy was sitting there with a parabolic hearing. I didn't hear a thing, but he heard a twig snap. And we were, I guess, imitating rocks standing next to each other. And he knew just about where the twig break was. So we went over there. The twig broken was a limb that was over 7 foot off the ground. It was in a cedar tree. Red said, "Oh, that's Big Red." Big Red was the biggest Bigfoot in that community. That's kind of neat. He didn't come in real close, but he came in close enough where he could see it, but he did not stay. I guess we wasn't interested to watch or something. Well, anyway, the equipment, we know about the parabolic hearing. You can buy that on Amazon for about $45. I've got some I paid $15 for years ago. I wish I'd bought about 20 of them, because I have broke a bunch of them, hauling them around. The night vision, you get off of eBay for less than $60. Just get some and you get your money back on, in case you happen to get one dumped on you that's not any good. I finally got to the point where I was able to buy a Generation 3 night vision. You can take that and you can get a infrared illuminator flashlight for less than $10. And I hadn't tried it with the Cat 1 night vision, but with but Generation 3 with a little bitty light, I can see as good as daylight to half a block. And I'm sure with regular night vision, it's going to greatly improve it. The cheaper night vision with infrared, it's only good for about 50 foot. Anything past 50 foot, it just isn't illuminated where you can watch it, unless there is a lot of moon out. Then you can get on to thermal imagers. These, you can get a little more money on these. You're talking about $200 off of Amazon, but these allow you to actually record what the thermal imager is picking up. And it's great for picking up heat, like Bigfoot that's hiding in the bushes. You know where they're at. And if they do have to be moving around, you pick it up. You don't get a real clear picture. You can tell it's a Bigfoot. I have accumulated so much equipment. I go out and spend a lot of times in Bigfoot Story. And to take all my camping equipment and everything that I've got, I finally bought me a trailer. And that trailer I bought a wrap to go around about Bigfoot research, and also put in there, if you have seen a Bigfoot and would like to report a sighting, please call me. And I've had at least 20 people call me, telling me about the Bigfoot they've seen. I can pretty well pick out, there were 2 or 3 of them that I think they just made it up looking for attention. But anyway, after sulfur, I saw a report on BFRO where a Bigfoot was seen less than 15 miles from my house. Well, I followed the directions down, finally found the girl, or the lady that owned the land, and I talked to her about me putting a small trailer out there. I'd made a trailer that you could sleep in, and I was in rush to get it done, so I wasn't finished with it. And this was kind of tragic how this ended. I'll get to it when it happened. But one night out there, the trailer, I didn't have any cameras out. I didn't have a recorder where I could grab it. But I had what I believe to be a Bigfoot come up to the trailer. Now, once you hear him walking through the grass, it's not a walk, it's a pound. You can tell there's a lot of weight behind that step. And in the trailer, I had cut a hole for a TV, and I actually had a TV sitting in there. They do like to watch TV, by the way. I think a lot of times that's the reason why they peep into people's windows. But here I was. I knew there was a Bigfoot outside the trailer, and I couldn't see him, but I was less than 8 inches through a piece of the cheapest plywood you could buy. That's what I made the trailer out of. And I really have never been threatened by one, but if Bigfoot wanted to do some harm, it wouldn't be nothing for him to come through that 3/8 inch plywood. Now, I did have a sighting on that land. One night, when I went out there, there was one that jumped out of the tree that was about 10 foot off the ground. This one was about 7 or 8 foot. It was dark, so I didn't get a real good look at it, but it's white. And man, he hit the ground running. If you ever see one of them move, it's too bad we can't put them in the Olympics. But I would go out there in the trailer, and I learned one thing. Fort Sill was less than a half a mile away, and every hour they would fly with a Black Hawk helicopter around the perimeter of it, looking for things. And it's right next to the Wichita Mountains. So I am sure that they were picking up Bigfoot on thermal imagers. I never did get talked to a pilot, but I'm sure at first they had the game department and everybody else out there looking for the person that wasn't supposed to be on the range. Also, it's through a heavy impact area. I don't know how they went through there without stepping on some ordnance. There's also an area where there are stuff they had shot back in the 50s, and it landed in the trees and in the ground, and it would still go off. It's still active. When you go to get a hunting permit out there, they tell you, well, you don't go in here, and that's why. The only report I saw in the Wichita Mountains, which was about 4 miles from where she was up around Elk Mountain. This would have been in the 80s. Someone saw where they had tree twist. Still couldn't get any reports on that, other than that one being in there. Later, I learned there was about 8 of them that stayed around in there, and most of them were white. Now, white Bigfoot and white, it confuses me. But anyway, if any of y'all are more close to the Wichita Mountains, are on Wolf Creek. And since then, I've seen 3 reports of where they were on Fort Sill. One of them was less than a half a mile from where I lived. It's down in Medicine Park, waiting there. But there's no question in my mind that we hadn't been visited by Bigfoot, because one of the sightings was less than a mile from there.
I bet you've probably been to the doctor's office in the past few months. I bet you had to hand over personal info, like your insurance, your ID, maybe even your social security number. And I bet you weren't thinking about how your doctor is just one of many places that has your personal information. If any one of them isn't careful, it's a good bet they could accidentally expose your details to hackers and identity theft, putting you at risk. Fortunately, LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. With plans covering up to $3 million for stolen funds and expenses. Answers with your personal info. Help protect it even when it's out of your hands. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code iHeart. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code iHeart, or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chonkers who chonk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. At quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Wouldn't it be nice if your cash savings could just grow by itself? With the Wealthfront Cash Account, it can, earning 4% annual percentage yield from partner banks on your uninvested cash, nearly 10 times the national average. Just imagine if other things in your life worked the way Wealthfront works. 10 times the average rate, you'd have 10 times fewer issues with sad, stunted succulents. Your crocodile ferns would grow to the size of crocodiles. Wealthfront's cash account keeps your money thriving just like that, earning you an industry-leading rate with no account maintenance fees, and with free 24/7 instant withdrawals, so you can access your money whenever you need it. Money works better here. Go to wealthfront.com to start saving. Cash account offered by Wealthfront Brokerage, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Wealthfront is not a bank. The APY on cash deposits as of December 27, 2024 is representative, subject to change, and requires no minimum. Funds in the cash account are swept to partner banks where they earn a variable APY. The national average interest rate for savings accounts is posted on FDIC.gov as of December 16, 2024.
But as we're going down the line, I had my grandson, he used to go with me a lot. And we went down to Ray Roberts, and this is daylight. Walked up on a young one sleeping. He was only about 6 foot tall. Lots of hair. Now, one thing you don't look at on a Bigfoot, 90%, maybe 99% of the videos, people claiming to have a film of them, if you look, what they're calling a Bigfoot is a human in some sort of a dark suit. Look at the neck. A Bigfoot has no neck. His head is just sitting there. Also, you've got your arm length to look at. All the videos I've seen, 99% of them, their arms stop at their waistline. So, if you don't know if it's a real Bigfoot film or not, look at the neck, look at the arms. You can make a real quick judgment. Later, we went, I'm talking about me and Darren, the grandson, we went back to Honabi, and we couldn't quite get up to where I saw those 3 Bigfoot, but we did get pretty close up to the top of it, or close enough. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Darren said, "What has orange eyes?" Or yellow eyes, I forget the color, I think it's orange. I said, "That's Bigfoot." And less than 30 foot from us were 3 Bigfoot. You had one small one that was 4 or 5 foot tall, one that was about 7 foot, and one monster big one. Yeah, I didn't get but maybe a 5-second deal. I had 3 Shih Tzus with me. I had them tied down. Normally a Shih Tzu is not a vicious dog, but I'm sure glad I tied them down because they went berserk about the time I saw the Bigfoot. I guess they saw it too. And they would have gone after the Bigfoot. Of course, a dog that's very aggressive on the Bigfoot, he doesn't live very long. One swat and they break their back. That had happened down there at Camp Oklahoma where I put that trailer. Oh, getting back on the trailer, I can't believe I was so dumb. I rigged my camera to where I could look 360 degrees in addition to 4 cameras, one on each side. And I could also pan that camera up and down. The girl that lived there was single. And when I put the trailer out there, I couldn't get down where I wanted to because I was getting stuck. Well, anyway, one night I went out there, and here's this camera. The north wind had blown it where it was right in her bedroom window. Well, that night when I went out there, about 10 o'clock at night, I had somebody pounding on the door. It was 3 Indians. It says, "You need to leave now." And I asked why. I said, and they wouldn't tell me. Well, the 3 of them there, I wasn't about to do any arguing or anything else. I got in the car and went to leave. They blocked me. I thought, oh no, I am fixing to get the tar beat out of me. But I held my cool, and they finally got out of the way. I went home, and the next day I went out there and got the generator and everything else that I had put up. I tried to make amends with the woman. I wrote her a 9-page letter explaining how everything came back, but still she would never grant me permission to go back out there. It's kind of tragic because the Bigfoot, she said, about November they show up, and she can always tell when they have come in because things start getting disturbed. She had nothing but junk in her yard, and also she had a bunch of fruit she'd bring out there to feed them. Just set it out there. But they would overturn stones, old refrigerators, looking for bugs, rats, anything they could find to eat. I would think a Bigfoot could outsmart a cat. The grass out there was thick. It was over 8 foot tall, and it kind of curled over the top of it. Had a lot of tunnels in it. I guess probably 10 different times or more. I'd be walking through there, and I'd have a wildcat come flying out of the grass running from it. You know, we thought Bigfoot would clean them out. They were there. They stayed there. I guess they smart enough to avoid the nose and the ears and eyes. But anyway, the 3 down there at Honabi, Darren said one of them had to stoop to go under a limb. So I said, show me that limb. I went to the car and got a tape measure. And the limb was attached to the tree, was 10 foot off the ground. Again, we had hit the big male. I don't know if I would call him half male, but he was a big son of a gun. And it was kind of tragic on Darren because I had planned a week to work southeast Oklahoma, going to the different parks and Southern Forest, etc. I noticed Darren was not sleeping at night. Finally, I asked him, I said, what's the problem? He just couldn't get over seeing the Bigfoot. He was afraid he's going to run into something like that again. I said, Darren, you have been around me. You know Bigfoot will not hurt you. He says, yeah, I know they won't hurt you, but if they wanted to, they'd kill you. I had to cut the trip short. He wouldn't get any sleep. And I was more concerned about him than I was trying to see another Bigfoot. Darren would not go with me again, so I lost my little friend to talk to, teach things, show. My 9th sighting of one was north of Beeville, Texas. Can't think of the name of the town, but I'd heard a report of every day a Bigfoot would cross the road at around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon in front of the traffic. So me and a friend went down there. We didn't try to get on any private property. There was a place where we pulled off the road, plenty of room to park the trailer. And we probably had 10 people stop and ask us, do you need some help? Nope, we're just up there trying to see Bigfoot. Most of them didn't know that there was Bigfoot around there that offered help. But about 3 in the morning, my friend, Matt, would have been his first time out, just happened to be looking through the night vision, and about a block away, something come out of the bushes to about the middle of the road. I looked down and saw the trailer, and they went back in the bushes. Well, in 5 minutes, he come back out, and we sat there and watched it for 30 minutes on night vision. And it's kind of hard to get a lot of the details at a half a block with the cheap night vision. But I would say that this was probably a young male that had been kicked out and told to go find his own family or make his own family. And he was by himself. Shoulders were very broad. You know, for a 6 foot, maybe 7 foot Bigfoot, his shoulders would be near 3.5 foot across. And I'd estimate the weight to be well over 500 pounds. I could see arm length, typical Bigfoot arm length, down to their knees. And the only reason why we left then, I wish then I would have just walked down the road to see how close I could have gotten to it. Well, I'm pretty sure by the time I got halfway down there, he had booked. They are afraid of humans, and they will not. I hear these people all the time, well, Bigfoot will hurt you, Bigfoot will eat you, it's full of bull. I used to post on about 12 different pages, about Bigfoot. And on every one over the time, I would put a post out. Do you know anybody personally that has been hurt by a Bigfoot? I only got 2 people to come back. And both of them were, one of them down there in the campgrounds at Sulphur, Oklahoma, Arbuckle Mountains. One had caught a girl coming out of the restroom, and he pushed her in the middle of her back and knocked her down. Didn't hurt, no scrapes, no abrasions. It just, it scared the hell out of me. Surprised that one of them pushed down.
I bet you've probably been to the doctor's office in the past few months. I bet you had to hand over personal info, like your insurance, your ID, maybe even your social security number. And I bet you weren't thinking about how your doctor is just one of many places that has your personal information. If any one of them isn't careful, it's a good bet they could accidentally expose your details to hackers and identity theft, putting you at risk. Fortunately, LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back, with plans covering up to $3 million for stolen funds and expenses. Don't take chances with your personal info. Help protect it even when it's out of your hands. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code iHeart. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code iHeart, or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have quantum fiber internet. Quantum fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
And then I forget where it was at. Had the same thing occur, except this one hit pretty hard, and the guy was carrying the backpack on. Got knocked to the ground pretty hard, but the backpack saved a lot of being hit. So, if you post on the pages, put in there. Who knows? Someone's been personally hit by a Bigfoot. And down around Houston, I saw where somebody had put down there's been 36 people missing around this lake. Well, there's a lot of Bigfoot. Well, I played around on the computer, and finally I found where they'd gotten their information from. It was a missing person reports in the sheriff's office. Well, you read on to it, 35 of the 36 of the people had been located. Either it was they'd run away from the house, or They just was tired, wanted to move, or just wanted to disappear 2 or 3 days different days. But there's only one that's unaccounted for, so that kind of rules out Bigfoot eats people. But if you look up my name, it's HOMER KOCH. I live in Texas. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Dogman, but we had Dogman show up less than a half a mile from where I live. The Dogfoot family was down there. And how I know, I talked to 3 different people that saw them. Dogman can be dangerous. And there's about 4 different types. These were the type 4 that had the face of a hyena. The first girl saw it, she was about a quarter mile, and she was looking through binoculars. All she could say was it stood about 7 foot tall, to her best guess. And 2 of her friends, they were out in the backyard, sitting there chit-chatting around the little fire. And all of a sudden, something come flying out of the bushes and hit a guy in the leg. Well, I figured out who he was and talked to him. I said, "What did you get hit in the leg with?" He said it was something metal. And there were 2 more that were on the bicycle about 2 o'clock in the morning. I assume they had lost their license. Here's 30-year-old people riding bicycles. But one of them almost ran over pups in the middle of the road. He wasn't running any lights or anything. I guess the bicycle wasn't very noisy. And here's these 3 puppies, dogs, that are standing on their hind foot. He said they were only maybe 3 foot tall. And he did describe their faces being that like a hyena. And about 2 weeks later, another guy was coming down the same road, and he saw one in the bar ditch. Now, I went over there, but I did not feel comfortable getting out on the ground. I never could find their den. I've got 4-wheel drive vehicles, so I could go almost anywhere I want to. And what I was doing, I was looking for a path that led in and out of the bushes. Now, I later learned that they were up on the Nueces River. It's one of the 8 major rivers in Texas. And I had heard reports of Bigfoot being seen at the Lobonte Park. Heard that 3 different people. Heard about Bigfoot being seen in Odom, Oklahoma.
Oh, hey, Mom.
And then I finally ran across a guy that had got a good look at them several times. And all they could describe me is that they had snouts. Dogmen. Now, I'm not into chasing down dogmen, but it was kind of interesting because they were so close to the house. Now, the newspaper article, if somebody posted it on Facebook, I get comments all the time. Even had friends that I hadn't seen for 20 years call me if they read that. It is all true except for one thing. The reporter asked me how I wanted to end the deal.
This is why I
Now,
record my drives.
the deal was I was trying to get them to do an article on the Dogman. And when he found out I was in Bigfoot, he weaseled around
look at
and
him picking
wanted
rocks
to go with me.
again.
He wanted to write an article on it. He spent about 3 days with me. We went out, looked around, but I didn't have a way to cut the article off. I said, just put on there whatever you want to. And what does he do? He says, next thing I want to do is trap a Bigfoot. Ha! I want to see a trap first that'll hold the Bigfoot. And somebody that's smart enough to get one to come into a trap. I don't see ever trapping one of them. But my main goal is I've seen 9, and when I go out, I hope to see that number 10 Bigfoot. Now, I'm down here, it's not East Texas, it's not West Texas. But we have a lot of rivers up here, and we have a lot of public boat launches where I can go spend the night on the river and not have to ask permission from anybody and get the night. You just pull up there. So far, I've been out 6 or 7 times, and the only activity I've had, I had never smelled a Bigfoot before, but we were sitting there asleep, and I had a nasty smell that woke me up when I was sleeping. And I was with the new guy that I wanted to let him see his first Bigfoot. And I first called him real lightly. Then I kept raising, trying to get him to wake up. I even called him on the phone. It didn't wake him up. But I went up there, and once I started making all this racket, that smell started kind of disappearing. I finally had to shake him to get him awake. And I told him next time, I said, when you go with me, you're going to sleep with a shopping collar on for a dog. Because I'm not going to go to all this work, have you not be able to wake up. But he hasn't gone out with me anymore. That's fine with me. But I've had lots of fun looking for Bigfoot. don't always have success. I've got a place down by Alice, Texas, where I've got the keys to 2 wrenches where they're at. You can do 3 knocks, you can hear them. But I have been all over that place, made all sorts of racket, had all sorts of lights, and I can't get them to come close. Yet, you know they're there. One of these days I'll figure out what they want to come see. Been kind of not going out. I've had a lot of health problems in the last year. But I hope I'm on recovery. And I'm going to give you a tip. I read this, that if you'll only go when there's no moon out there, you'll see a lot more Bigfoot activity than it is when it's bright out there. It was something like full moon was only 1/4 as good as when there is no moon. So I have established a policy that I won't waste my time to go out and come back with not seeing anything, not hearing anything, not hearing who. But 3 days before a new moon and 3 days after a new moon. If you'll do that, I've had people go out regular, ask them to keep records on it, and they had the same conclusion I did. When it's dark, you'll have activity. A lot better than if it's light. I wish I lived a little bit more east, but I chose to move down to Corpus Christi for a reason. Moved down here so I could catch big fish. I've done a lot of catfishing so far. I've caught 13 of them that weigh over 50 pounds, and oodles and gobs below that. And it's hard to catch a big fish. The reason why I want to catch big fish is my dad come in with a 84-pound catfish that was in the bar ditch in Vicksburg, Mississippi. The river had been up and went down, and this huge catfish was in there.
I bet you've probably been to the doctor's office in the past few months. I bet you had to hand over personal info, like your insurance, your ID, maybe even your social security number. And I bet you weren't thinking about how your doctor is just one of many places that has your personal information. If any one of them isn't careful, it's a good bet they could accidentally expose your details to hackers and identity theft, putting you at risk. Fortunately, LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back, with plans covering up to $3 million for stolen funds and expenses. Don't take chances with your personal info. Help protect it even when it's out of your hands. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code iHeart. Call 1-800-LifeLock and use promo code iHeart, or go to lifelock.com/iHeart for 40% off. Terms apply.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have quantum fiber internet. Quantum fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only. With Target, you can get back to school supplies delivered when you want it. Like today. Pens and markers? Check. Folders? Got it. Snacks, sneaks, and backpacks? Yup, right to your door. Or your classroom. For all of the above, it's back to school at Target.
Even though I didn't catch on the rod and reel, wrestled it in by hand. I love my dad. He came from a very poor childhood. There's times when they didn't know what they was gonna eat for supper. He told me a lot of times it might have been corn mush and it was probably stolen. But in spite of not even going to the 3rd grade, he was very successful in life on everything that he done. And I always figure if I can outdo my dad, I'm a good man. And so far I have outdone him on everything I set my goal out to, except I haven't caught a bigger fish. And down here, it's nothing unusual to hook into a 300-pound shark. We would have got one guy that he's had 2 of them over 1,000 pounds, tiger sharks. And that's what I want to get into. Just a fish that weighs over 50 pounds, then I will fulfill my life's desires. But anyway, in a Bigfoot article, if you don't see it, just look up under my name and under Bigfoot. It's all true except that I'm not going to trap one. I'd say it'd be impossible. But I am down here. I do go out. Anybody that would like to go along need to come along. But I have a Bigfoot trailer with a wrap around it, and I'll probably have in the trailer $8,000 to $10,000 worth of equipment. That night vision, it really added up. But it's got all my camping gear. It's got all the food. It's got a generator. It's got a microwave. So when I go out, we do have warm food. And when I do go camping out, I'll sleep in the open. There's nothing I would like more than to wake up and see have a Bigfoot up beside my bed studying me out. It's happened a couple of times. I guess I'll sleep out there. Live long enough, it'll happen to me too. But anyway, I do a lot of thinking about Bigfoot. Right now we're in the new moon. Got vehicles broke down. And one of the guys that we're going to use his pickup to tow the trailer, he's got health problems. He had to cancel out. So we'll be out there next month. And down here, I go out 12 months out of the year. It gets pretty warm in the daytime down the summer. But during the winter, year before last, we didn't even have a freeze. That's how warm it stays. This last winter, it got down to 20 degrees for 3 days, and this town froze up. But y'all are all welcome to come with me. I'm on base page. Just send me a message. I've had people fly in to go out, and if you want to do that, I'll pick you up at the airport. Because I'm going out, take you back here when I'm leaving to go home. But anybody got any questions or needs any guidance, get in touch with me. But that's my experience with Bigfoot, and I'm looking for number 10. Hope y'all have as much fun and see as many as I do. But I hope you get it where you get some real close looks. But they're pretty close to being human. Talk to you. Call. That's all for now.
Well, that's it for tonight's show. If you've had a Bigfoot sighting and would like to be a guest, please go to mybigfootsighting.com and let us know. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.
Seen a bunch of run-down nose towns where the church is the backbone, love's in the bow, and the five-string melodies grooving. With the farmland roads where the roots run deep, beyond the noise of the busy streets, where the songs.
Watch the sunrise. Right there. Oh hey, you always gotta appear out of nowhere, so I step on you. It's not cool when you do this. So I always step on you. Alright, watch the sunrise. It'll be a little quiet, but trying to get the sunrise if I can. Let's do that. Just hoping my phone don't fall. Just hold it. No, it's not gonna work. Hello. Enjoy the sunrise. If it's quiet, it's because I walked away. Oh, my hand for some reason hurts.
You don't even need it. They don't go anywhere. They stay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff where you go in and out there, you came through the sidewalk.
Yeah.
The only one stepping in the crash would be me and anyone else who lives here. Only because lights around it,
Yeah.
like solar, like something cool. Throw it away, we got plenty of those. I found one sitting there and I knew it was you. Nothing with resolution be sitting in the kitchen. Nothing. Garbage. Why do you think I keep the smoking in the room?
Well, I ain't shit to do.